Alright, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com, also video presentation. Yeah, I gotta put the video card back on. Anyway, it's not very good. Alright, so the last video I made a list of, all these arguments, the lever, the ballistic pendulum, all this stuff that demonstrates their physics just doesn't work. I really hate this lag. Alright, live with it. Anyway, so I'll do one more argument, and the argument from heat, okay, which can be understood to be sort of just what friction is. I mean, friction is a transfer of motion, and it's usually in the form of very small things like molecules of air are, tiny little bits of a surface that are being agitated, and the atoms are moving, and we call that heat. And so the simple argument is that there's no argument in physics that to make something twice as hot, to go from 4 degrees to 8 degrees, does not require you, to do this quadratic increase in the amount of energy you put in. That twice the energy will get you twice the heat, and 3 times will get you 3 times the heat. So again, we're back to Newton's simple argument that force equals momentum, which means essentially that force is a direct correlation to increasing something's velocity if you're not changing its mass. And if you change its mass, you obviously give it half the amount of substance to heat. So if I did do something where I had something at 0 degrees and I was mixing it with 4 degrees and it was half the mass, I can expect the outcome to be that it'll whatever rise in temperature I create here, I'm going to get an equal decline in temperature here. And that simple logic works. Joule tanks wouldn't have worked without the assumption that there's a direct correlation between twice the energy is twice the heat. That was his assumption. So I mean, there's no argument that can be made, and it can be understood. Again, like I said, it's just friction. It's just a transfer. There's no force of friction. So again, this is another one of their arguments, that they're somehow implying that friction is a force, when obviously friction isn't a force. Friction is just you transferring motion you have, and you're making something else move. So I can make an argument from tuning forks. I can make an argument from so many different things that point out is that all something has is momentum. So if I put the tuning fork in space, it can vibrate a very long time because it's not giving its motion to anything. But in an atmosphere, it's going to sit there and push little atoms around, and it's going to transfer an equal amount of motion to whatever it has. It's going to transfer to the environment. There's no evidence it transfers anymore. So again, there's just no evidence of this argument that somehow something has more energy. And again, the bullet can be, this is, frankly, this is grade school stupid. You'd expect a little kid to make this kind of stupid mistake, not adults. Not to be able to understand that the bullet has not only a shape and lots of dynamics, but that all it's doing is breaking a surface. It's not moving more matter. It's not creating more heat when it hits somebody's brain and blows it to pieces. It doesn't make more heat than the recoiling gun would make. So if I could actually just shoot a bullet into a Joule tank, and I shot and I just let the recoiling gun go into the Joule tank, they're going to go into the tank making different splashes. They're going to look different. But the fact is the temperature rise is going to be exactly the same because all they have is momentum. All right, that's a simple enough argument. So do we need to go any further? I really shouldn't have to. So I got a couple more comments. I mean, I block the assholes because I'm just not going to do it your way. You either make a complete argument where you provide either a link to evidence that you say is credible disputing something I'm saying, or you make a video and draw it. But if you can't do one of those two things, fuck you. Your assertions are useless. Okay. So let's do some comments, and maybe if we have time, we'll do some Falwell video, but you know, they're just buffoons. They're just monkeys. You know, they can't make a physics argument. You know, it's just one sentence quips, and that's it. They just dismiss and run away. Pretend there's no subject, when obviously there's a subject. I mean, for 100 years or more, they argued this subject, and then everybody just became Catholics, you know, and then nobody argued about any other possibility. But the fact is, if your evidence was so clear and it was such a decisive argument, then why can't you show me any? And you can't show any evidence, it's just a fact. Any credible evidence. Alright, so I mean, this, you know, these are videos I probably shouldn't even bother. I'll just make the videos where I make the arguments, point out the 15 different facts of physics that make it impossible for a reasonable person to say kinetic energy is real and it's proven. No, because the facts are glaring that it's not proven. There's no evidence that it takes 25 times the fuel to move something 5 times as fast, especially spinning it. Alright, so, yeah, I gotta click a button here of some kind. Where the hell, everything I really need to put a different video card in this computer because everything gets screwed up every time I restart the computer. All of a sudden things are missing. And it's missing. Where the hell is it? There we go. Ah, it actually showed up good. Alright, so these were a couple of comments. So this guy subscribed to me a month ago. Publicly. Woo! Yeah, somebody who's not afraid to make their subscriptions public. Wow. A rarity on the internet nowadays. You're missing some key physics here. No, I'm not. I'm making key arguments, and what you're missing is providing anything called evidence. Just none. You provide nothing. Okay. The lever paradox, and the paradox is you're claiming 1.4 is the same as 2.0. That the experiment does both. It moves it twice it conserves momentum and it conserves kinetic energy. It can't do both. Clearly, the only way the kinetic energy thing can be real is the momentum thing has to be not real. You can't have it both fucking ways, moron. Alright, only seems paradoxical. No, it is a paradox. 2 does not equal 1.4. If you ignore how work and energy operate. So more lies, okay? I mean, I didn't ignore anything. I've given you 59 different examples of how kinetic energy doesn't do any fucking work. It can't do work in a collision. It can't do work moving a spaceship. It can't do work moving a ballistic pendulum. It can't ever do any work. God damn it. You argue that only momentum matters. I argue there's no evidence of anything else. Okay, but in reality, both momentum, here, this is just baby talk. Momentum and kinetic energy are conserved. So in the lever example, it's impossible. Nobody can rationally, you just can't make a rational comment. So you're just being completely irrational. I put the 2 mass in at one distance, okay, going one velocity. What pops out of the other side, fuckhead? Alright, when a 1 mass is twice the distance. What does the 1 mass do? Does it go 1.4 or does it go 2.0, you motherfucking cunt? I mean, how the fuck could you say they're both conserved? Just in different ways. I mean, just, fuck you. I mean, these people, you people are just so dishonest. To make a drivel argument like this as a counter argument, this is drivel. You have to make a choice in your decision. You have to say that the half mass goes 1.4. And that means that a half mass going 1.4 put into one side of the lever can produce a 2 mass going 1 from the other side, making free momentum. You have to concede your own argument and accept that you have to defend the idea that there's such a thing as free fucking momentum. Oh, you're so, I mean, it's just so dishonest. God, I hate this planet. You're all just such fucking liars. All right, when a lighter mass on the long lever arm moves faster, it requires more energy. So there's just no evidence of that. You're just making the fucking claim. So link to evidence or fuck off forever. Well, you're already fucked off. Not less. I mean, where did I say it takes less energy? Nobody's arguing it takes less. The argument is the momentum is conserved. One side moves, the other side moves. Conservation. The kinetic energy scales with velocity squared. So it says you. This whole argument is about the fact that that doesn't happen and there's absolutely no evidence for it. Okay, that's not a flaw in physics. It's a lie and it's nonsense. It's completely unproven. Again, show me an experiment where it takes 25 times the fuel to spin something 5 times as fast. Until you show me that, you're just talking shit. And pretending you give a fuck about the truth or the integrity of science. To not admit that you have no fucking evidence of that is just disgusting. That you think you can do that. You can argue for something for which you have zero evidence. You're just a religious fucking fanatic. A stupid moronic drone. A fucking Borgite just reciting the fucking catechism. They told you so. They didn't show you so, you fucking idiot. Okay, it's what makes the math match real world experience. It doesn't match, you fucking idiot. That's the whole fucking point. Like ballistic pendulums and rotating systems. Again, amazing. So obviously those systems don't conserve kinetic energy at all. Oh, God, you're such a liar. Also, energy isn't lost. Duh, that's my argument, you fuck. Alright, it's transformed. Transformed into what? Benergy? Zenergy? Just talk nonsense. Fuck you. It's transformed into heat. What do you think heat is? Heat's not energy? Sound isn't percussion energy? Oh, you're just too fucking stupid. Okay. In inelastic collisions, that's standard and measurable. So again, more reference to some fucking measurement. Yeah, with little plastic carts with little tiny metal wheels. Alright, your examples don't disprove... I'm just to say it doesn't when it absolutely does, okay? The examples are absolute proofs. There's no way you're going to explain that, oh, pulleys don't conserve momentum. They conserve kinetic energy. The 1.4 thing happens. I mean, if I do it a 4:1 ratio, you're saying half the momentum is lost. That's your argument. They just ignore where the energy goes. Where does the energy go? Where? What's your argument? I'm oscillating a pendulum, okay, and it has a 1 mass on one side going 4 times the velocity and a 4 mass on the other side going 1 velocity. Where are the hidden energies? Alright, you're raising good questions. Well, what the fuck? You just sit there and pretended they don't exist, you fucking asshole. But the answers already exist in tested mechanics. So where's the tested mechanics, you lying scum? I mean, over and over again. So there's not a single ballistic pendulum experiment ever done in the history of mankind that produces more than just conservation of momentum. It never transfers any of the kinetic energy. Ever. The kinetic energy never does any work. And the same is true for the spaceship. The exhaust, the thrust, never transfers its energy. All of the kinetic energy is lost. All the kinetic energy above momentum is lost to an undefined loss. Okay. Ignoring displacement or energy doesn't make physics go away. So there's no physics to talk about here. That's the Chardonnay experiment. You can't figure out that denting things with a round surface doesn't work. It's not a fair comparison. It's as stupid as pointy arrow versus dull arrow. And you say because the pointy arrow goes deeper, it has more energy. That's how dumb you are. You lying piece of garbage. Okay, so this was some other asshole. I didn't save his name, apparently. Oh, this is so bad. The problem with all your arguments in your list is that you don't understand what physics mean by kinetic energy and force. So again, you can't make it any clearer. You either think the damn thing leaves with 1.4 or you think it leaves with 2.0. There's nothing to interpret here. There's no, oh, I misunderstood. There's nothing to misunderstand. You assert that one event happens or the other event happens. And if one happens, you didn't conserve the momentum. And if the other happens, you didn't conserve the kinetic energy. That's the absolute fact. And to pretend you know something about physics and you can't figure out that you can't assert 1.4 is the same as 2.0, you can't assert that those two velocities are the same. You can't. And be anything else other than lunatic stupid. Okay. You define force as momentum. Newton defined force as momentum. That's fine, you can do that, but that is not the definition physicists use. And again, their definition is what the fucking whole argument is about. They claim kinetic energy does work, and I'm pointing out it doesn't do any at all, ever. In no experiment does it ever do any work. It doesn't move spaceships, it doesn't move cars, it doesn't move gears, it doesn't push water, it doesn't do a fucking thing ever. It's the laziest energy in the universe. In physics, so again, he's claiming he knows something about science and physics. And clearly he knows nothing if he won't admit, oh yeah, we have no evidence for this theory. We just assert it and you believe it. And that's the way it works. So it's just like a religion. I assert, you believe. There, we're done. Okay, force simply describes the strength of a push. So again, more nonsense. The strength? What is the strength of something? Well, I guess that would be the same as energy, wouldn't it? Oh, it's just so amazingly stupid. To change the motion of an object, you have to give it a push one way or another. Yes, you have to give away what you have, right? Exactly. That's the whole fucking point. All the energy can do is be transferred from object to object to object to object. There's nothing else that can possibly happen to it. Motion just moves from one object to another object to another object to another object. And you can't use it twice. You can't move one thing going this way and one thing going that way with the same piece of energy. It won't work that way. Doesn't this agree with your everyday experience? So fuck you. I mean, I can't make it any clearer. Obviously, 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast doesn't agree with anything I've ever seen in my entire life. And obviously, I'm not convinced that all the professional bowlers are idiots because they don't know that they can get twice the energy into the pins by picking up a lighter bowling ball. You can push objects hard or gently. So this is just baby talk, wasted time. One way to measure force is a scale. So again, yeah, exactly. So the claim of the kinetic energy theory is that twice the weight is 4 times the energy. That's the implication. So in violation of Hooke's law, somehow you magically have created 4 times the energy by just creating twice the weight. The harder you push the scale, the larger reading you get. So again, this is just more baby talk, and it's completely proportional to the velocity or the mass. So there's no quadratic element at all. Oh God, you people are just such liars. And when you push movable objects, no other forces preventing motion, they gain velocity. So that's just drivel. Duh. Shit. I.e. Oh, he has to I.e. that statement. Oh, when you push something, you make it move. Oh, what a surprise. Oh, shit. The higher acceleration you give them. So again, this word acceleration is meaningless. It's just an increase in velocity. That's all you're doing. You're just increasing or decreasing. That's what acceleration, deceleration, same thing. You're just saying, am I making something go faster or giving it less energy? That's all. There's no reason to believe it has anything to do with any quadratic function, just like voltage in a wire doesn't have any quadratic function. That's what F equals ma means. So F equals ma is obviously meaningless to me, okay, and Newton, because you just made it up. You made it up in 48. F equals ma isn't in science before 1848. It didn't exist. So quit pretending it's some thing that means something to somebody rational. It's a perversion and a distortion of Newton's mechanics. All right, that's what Newton meant when he said force generates motion. So where exactly did he say force generates motion? And regardless, how does generate change anything? Obviously, gravity to him was a force, and obviously it generates motion. So I mean, but isn't the real idea is to understand the force is essentially all related to the fact that there's this discrete speed of light stuff in the universe, the electricity, the magnetism, the whole spectrum of photons. That's the stuff that's transferring force directly. And isn't that all quite intuitive? Oh, fuck you. I mean, just fuck you. Whatever there is a force, there are three things that must know understand its effect. So Newton made it clear. Twice the force, twice the motion. 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. So again, he just keeps... They just lie about the absolute truth. One is direction, what is perhaps obvious. 2 others are critical here. The duration of the push and the distance, whatever the push is applied. So the distance is irrelevant. There's no such thing. Newton's cradles prove that in the sense that the motion is the speed of sound between the metal objects, right? So if you put you have 3 of them, and you put one in one side, one pops out on the other side. Well, it's the speed of sound through the one in the middle. But when the 2 of them you only have 2 objects in the Newton's cradle, it's instantaneous. The motion just goes straight from one right into the other. Where's your distance? Where's your pressure? There's no such thing. You never measured any of that fucking... You're just such a fucking liar to imply that this has something to do with distance. It has nothing to do with distance. There's no distance. There's no accelerations. It's a fact that it just leaves with its velocity. All right, the object gains twice the velocity. Well, let's see what this is. Time determines the change in momentum. Ft equals change in mv. Yes, exactly, and there's nothing squared in it. If you keep pushing twice as long, the object gains twice the velocity. So you just made the argument. There's no quadratic increase in anything. I didn't need to quadratically push to make it go twice as fast. Assuming the conventional definition of force, would you agree so far? I'm not going to play this game at all, so fuck you. I've made this so fucking clear. I've drawn it. I've said it over and over again for fucking goddamn years and thousands of videos, and this moron says, oh, do we agree so far? I've already made it absolutely clear what my arguments are, you jackass. All right, next, the distance with a given force. So I'm not even going to read this. We've already been over how you don't understand how gravity works. You don't understand this distance thing at all. That doesn't mean a goddamn thing. When something's going twice as fast, of course it goes twice the distance. And if there's half the friction, then it goes 4 times the distance. Duh. But in gravity, it's easy to understand. It's only twice the time. It's only twice the fucking time in a 9.8 meters per 1 second force. Obviously, it only got 2 units of fucking goddamn force, you fucking goddamn piece of shit. Yeah, the faster something goes, the more distance it covers, but it doesn't mean it did more work to do it. When you acquire a velocity, you keep it unless something takes it away from you. So if you're in free fall, that is, you're not tied by a string or something, the fact is you'll do the 1, 3, 5, 7 thing. And in those circumstances, all of that is free motion in the sense that you get to keep what you already gained through acceleration. And all you're getting each second is one tiny little bit of motion. You're getting an increase in your velocity, 9.8, but you're only moving 4.9 meters. And that's all you get each second. And everything else you have is what you got the previous seconds. You dumb shit. All right, next, the distance with a given force. The distance over which the push is applied determines the change in kinetic energy. Fd change in blah, 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 blah. Given the conventional definition of force, this is just math. It's just bullshit is what it is. It's made up, fake nonsense that can't be demonstrated in real experiments. You will never show me it taking 25 times the fuel to move something 5 times as fast. Ever. It's never going to happen. All right. It's a logical consequence. It's not a logical consequence of anything. It's not proven by any facts. It's not demonstrated by any facts. You're just asserting it. Okay. It's unavoidable. So you just keep saying the same shit over. Show me a piece of evidence, fucker. Oh, God. You people really can't get it worse than you deserve. You really can't. I mean, you're just such despicable garbage humans. Because this isn't, you're not doing any rational thinking. These aren't counter arguments to a single fucking thing I've asserted. So the big question is this. The big question is how can you argue for something you can't demonstrate with any fucking physical experiments? All right. Why is FD relevant? Exactly. It's irrelevant. It's FT. Time. How long are you in the rain will determine how fucking wet you get. Okay. It is relevant because it's the only way to transfer energy. Blah, 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 says you. This is not so obvious, but not too difficult to understand if you think about it. So this is just such nonsense. Think about what? I just gave you a simple argument. How do you determine how wet you get? The rain's a constant rain. How wet are you going to get? Depending on how much distance you walk? Or how much time you walk. Fucker. Alright. When a spring is pushing a heavier object, it takes a longer time, but the mass of the object can't change the amount of energy the spring has. So again, this is already explained springs, so there's no point bringing this up. You push a heavier mass, you'll get more energy from the spring because the spring will keep less. Absolute fucking fact. Alright, it's the distance that matters. So again, this nonsense that it has, you have any evidence for that? Show me. The distance whenever the spring is pushed the object tells you how far the spring is from being completely decompressed. So we know it doesn't completely decompress. That's the whole point. Alright, which tells you how much energy is still left in the spring. No, how much it's oscillating after the object leaves tells you how much energy is still in the spring. Oh, this guy is such an idiot. And obviously, if you left energy in the spring, then it's not energy that's in the object. Obviously. Okay. It's the same with energy source. 5 times larger change in velocity needs 25 times more energy. So there's absolutely no evidence of that. You're just such a fucking liar to imply that that's ever been demonstrated in any experiment ever in the history of mankind. You're just such a fucking liar. When a gun is fired, the explosion is symmetrical. That's exactly the argument I made in the video, moron. In terms of duration. There's no... What do you mean in terms of duration? Obviously the gun is moving a lot slower, so the recoiling gun probably can get some more back pressure than the bullet. The bullet's leaving really fast, so yeah, nothing's going to catch up with the bullet. The gun and the bullet experience equal but opposite pushes in the same amount of time. So again, they travel different speeds. It can't be, that's like saying the spring is the same for both objects, the light object and the heavy object, when obviously it's not. Anyway, that's why they gain equal but opposite momenta. No, they gain equal and opposite momenta because the energy itself is going this way and the energy itself is going that way. That's the reason why they get an equal amount, is because energy going this way can't push that thing that way. Fucking idiot. Anyway. Let's see. The explosion expands more into the direction of the bullet. So, this is such a lie. So, they have the same momentum, but the explosion went more one way. So, more energy went one way, but it didn't give the bullet more momentum. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. And again, it's overtly in contradiction to what Newton said. Twice the force, twice the velocity. 3 times the force, 3 times the velocity. You cannot make this argument that there's some hidden force. Alright, the bullet experiences larger FD. So there's just absolutely not, lie, fuck you. Which means it also gains larger potential to do FD. So there's absolutely no evidence that it creates any more heat in a joule tank. So you have no experimental evidence that it can produce anything. It can't move a ballistic pendulum. It can't even move a spaceship, frankly. The only thing it can transfer to a spaceship, if I shot the spaceship, the only thing the spaceship's going to get is the momentum. So if you want to compress a spring using the motion of a gun or a bullet, the bullet will give you more compression. So it's just a lie. You have no physical evidence. You're just making an assertion. Fuck you. Understanding force and energy solves all problems in your list. So this is just, you're just so despicable. Like I said, what do you think my reaction would be to your blanket statement that somehow you have a demonstrated theory that proves all of these experiments that demonstrate a complete failure of kinetic energy? The very idea that you actually believe you can create heat, so I can make something happen, create heat, and conserve all of the momentum. I don't have to lose momentum, and I can make an infinite amount of heat without losing any of my velocity. That's an idiotic. It's so idiotic doesn't even say anything. It's not even close to just how disgusting it is for you to pretend you know something about science and you could say something like that. I'm very interested here. I'm very interested in you getting exactly what you fucking deserve. I just wish there was a God. I wish there was some true arbiter of deserve has something to do with it, because lying silly scum like you, pretending you give a fuck about the truth when you have no evidence defending your religion. You're just reciting biblical verses and they have no meaning because they have no evidence. Fuck you, scum. Yeah, fuck you. God damn, I hate people. Oh, disgusting monsters. Alright, so let's go find the Falwell video. That's, he's turning into a brozo. He's got to do editing now. He's got to fuck with things, and it's just, his icons have always been bullshit. But it's just, what the fuck? There's nothing to say. Fuck you. Really. You can't make a straight up honest argument. You have to be a fucking monkey. Alright, so starts off with this funny text. You are too cowardly to show experiments. So obviously that's just a lie. So I've shown a ton of their silly, crappy experiments. And the truth is, so many of them are garbage. I have no obligation to show an audience experiments that can't be rationally scrutinized, because we can't see how it was done. Again, you don't even nail springs down. You don't even understand that when a spring is compressed, you can have a very irregular compression at the base. You can have all kinds of movement, and you don't even concede that. When a surface moves, that means it absorbed energy. When it doesn't move, that means it has to reflect the energy. You don't understand that simple concept. And so obviously we're not going to do much agreeing. And let's see, and then he says, and falsely describe them. You should say, and you falsely describe them, because you've kind of broken the continuity of this sentence. So maybe you ought to try Grammarly or something. Moron. So what's this music bullshit? What is this? Why are you wasting time?
So the smart point is no need for, let's just try the experiment in something like 1/8 of the velocity.
Oh, so this was such a simple argument, right? You're doing a lever experiment where you're pushing an object and using a timing gate to measure how fast the lever moves. He has it, the spring compression, the rubber band compression, so high that, yes, it's very fast. It just smashes into the wall. There's absolutely no reason to do the experiment that way. It only makes the tolerances, that is, the margin of error, goes up. The faster you make the objects move, the higher the margin of possible error. He doesn't even understand that concept. Fucking idiot.
Currently using, you really don't need.
Alright. I can't believe he would play that part of the clip and say, oh yeah, I'm going to respond to that. It's just so fucking stupid. Probably don't, somewhere around there. Volume should be adequate.
To smash everything into the wall. You don't. The experiment should be provable at any speed, and just about.
If it's provable at any speed, why are you so bothered about the speed then?
So again, I made it clear. There's a minimum. You don't go above the. If you don't have enough speed, you can't push the objects because the friction absorbs all the energy. So you have to have at least enough to get past whatever friction you have, you moron. And yeah, you don't want to go too fast because obviously the tolerances of everything breaks down at high speed. So again, it's just too obvious an argument here. Why do the experiment in any other way than to make it most easily videoed, most easily analyzed, most easily electronically scrutinized? Why would you push the limits of any of those?
And so that would be the irony is Paul Will's doing exactly the opposite. He's putting so little energy in that you can't. You're not.
So little energy. I'm moving 2.2 pounds.
Right. It's too little energy to move both of the objects under the circumstance. So obviously there was enough friction to stop the thing from moving. I made this argument. I can't believe he's making this video. I explained this. Right in this video, I explained that, yeah, the fact is the friction was stopping the thing from moving. So all you need to do is either break the static friction by vibrating the table, or you just need to put a little tiny bit more energy into the system and the friction will be broken. And again, as I pointed out, static friction does not absorb any energy. So you don't lose energy from static friction. You lose energy from durable, motional friction.
You get like it smacking you in the face.
Unfair to the experiment because of the vagaries of the frictions that exist in the experiment. And again, so they're
Frictions, or what frictions are these?
Oh, amazing. Oh, God damn it. So he puts the lever, pulls it back, puts a weight in front of it, and then he says, what frictions? The weight doesn't move. And he's thinking it doesn't move because it's something other than friction that's holding it there. So he's really too stupid to imagine, well, what if I had it in space and, there was a vacuum and there was no surface and I was just pushing. Oh, yeah, it would have to move, wouldn't it? Duh. Like, duh.
Formula you're using for that one.
Let's move on to Falwell's nonsense. Alright, so another context for this whole conversation is the fact that they won't even argue that these experiments need to be done, that this needs to be researched by regular physicists, that, it has.
They won't concede. Again, this is so simple an argument to make. The very fact that they won't concede that in 300 years of asserting this nonsense, that they should have experiments proving this nonsense. And the exact opposite is the truth, as pointed out. Every single experiment that does exist by regular physics basically points to the fact that kinetic energy is unviable nonsense. Because again, you have to make heat and conserve your momentum. You get to keep your velocity even though you made a bunch of heat. Again, those are impossible circumstances. Nobody could believe that's true. Nobody could believe you get to keep your velocity and make heat.
Millions of times, and when real physicists do it, you call them fakers and frauds as well.
Obviously, those are special cases. So obviously, again, so they won't concede that if you're going to do an air track experiment, you should film it straight on. You shouldn't film it from over here. Yeah, and that there shouldn't be clay on the air carts. All right, the cart should be really clean, and obviously, if one's claimed to be twice as heavy, it should be obviously twice as heavy, twice the weights, twice the clay, twice the added encumbrances. So again, just so bullshit.
So what would be the point?
So he's pretending that the complete void of real evidence, that is anything other than plastic carts with metal wheels or air tracks with a bunch of extra energy going into the system, obviously that's dangerous. So if you don't balance your carts just right, it's easy to understand they'll drift. Brozo had an experiment actually where he let go of the cart and it moved at the same velocity, okay, that it moved in the experiment. Nearly. I mean, that's how bad it was.
A lot more testing of this
So again, I just point out that this should have been tested. It should be tested with credible experiments. I've pointed out how DeCharlie was a nonsense experiment, so show me a real experiment. And this motherfucker, I mean, it just shows how dishonest these people are. To say that there's been enough experiments and they decidedly prove, it's just such a fucking lie. They haven't even done the lever launcher experiment. They've never even proven that you put a 2 mass in going 1 velocity and you get a 1 mass going 1.4 out. Or the reverse, which is the free momentum part. You put a 1 mass going 1.4 in one side and you get a 2 mass going 1 out of the other side, getting free momentum. And I can make that more extreme by putting a 1 mass going 4 times the velocity, and I can make twice. Okay, I can lose half the fucking momentum. I mean, gain twice the momentum.
Tested time and time again.
Oh, that's such a lie. So, I mean, it's very important playing this. Where? Show me the links. Show me the Mythbuster video. Show me something indicating that any of your nonsense is true. Show me something that indicates it's 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. Show me something that indicates that to be the truth.
Even coming up with that magical experiment showing that 25 times the fuel to make something spin 5 times as fast. That
Not 25 times the fuel. You keep saying this is such a retarded argument. 25 times the energy is...
Fuel is energy. I mean, what the fuck? How the fuck did he say something like this? Fuel isn't energy? Oh, I just, you know. It is so ridiculous.
required to make something go 5 times as fast. And you've been shown it with an experiment. You've seen evidence, but you live in denial.
Okay, so I'm not going to play anymore. Obviously, there's no experiments. Nothing has shown that anything like that is true. So it's just, this is just such garbage, such a lie. And again, what was the simple argument I was making? That all of us should want more experiments. Experiments done better. High-speed cameras. All of that fucking shit should... All those resources should be put to doing these elemental fucking experiments to demonstrate what they claim. They're claiming something extraordinary, and they're proving it with absolute crap as evidence. And anybody who gives a fuck about science should find this irritating and obnoxious. That science would claim without proving. Oh, you people are just, again, the whole dissection of the double slit experiment, how they just lied about what experiments they did. Detector experiments never took place. These assumptions about, oh, single slits, blah, 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 blah. It's diffraction. It's not fucking interference, when it's exactly the same fucking goddamn pattern. Oh, God, these people are so dishonest. God, I hate this planet. Fuck you. I mean, just get what you deserve, you fucking scum. Ugh.